Welcome back to the Everyday Armor podcast. Today we're going to talk about travel. It's summertime. I know there maybe are some girls' trips you've been planning. And with girls' trips, sometimes, whether it's like a bachelorette trip or just a fun trip, sometimes there are just problems that arise. There's drama that happens. And I want to be able to help you guys kind of minimize the chances that you could have one of those things happen on your trip. And it's funny because a lot of times we joke about, like, will the trip make it out of the group chat? But I feel like this is a lot more about, will the group chat make it out of the trip? So we're going to kind of dive into some different tips that I have for you guys, looking at my own personal encounters. And then I will give some safety tips at the end. So if you want to hear some of those, either skip to the end or you can wait until the end and I'll cover some there. With girls' trips, just to kind of preface, I'm really not the kind of person that just has like one solid group of friends. I've lived in 4 different states, and I also have friends for different purposes. So, and friends that I've met at different points in my life, where I have a really close group of girlfriends that I've had for like 10 plus years. And then I've had girlfriends that I had in high school, but I don't really keep up with as much. And then I have friends that I met post college or in the new states that I've lived in. So, I have friends everywhere. Going on bi-monthly girls trips is really not something that I prioritize. In my early 20s, I was just all about having fun. I lived in California. And then, mid and late 20s, I've been all about building my business and making sure that I have financial freedom in my later years. So even if you're somebody that's like, damn, I watch social media and I just feel like I'm not the kind of person doing these things and I need to be doing it. Everybody says travel in your 20s. I don't want you to stress, because I also am not the person going out doing a ton of girls' trips. If anything, I'm doing work trips. So your priorities just might be different. Maybe it's not totally for you. I'm somebody where my social battery can run out really quick and I have to be able to recharge it. So I'm not someone that can go on trips back to back to back with people. It becomes a lot for me. It's a lot to manage, like the energy, and I just need my alone time. So again, if they're not for you, that is okay. And I think these tips can be applied in a lot of different types of settings with girlfriends too, not even just like going on a trip together. But that is kind of what we're going to focus on today. And when we get into this stuff, I just want to preface with, the best thing you can do is evaluate the friendships you have around you. And I think the older you get, the more you really start to get selective, because you just don't have time. Like, I don't have time to keep up with my friends from Washington, California, Texas, and now Vegas, and fostering those new friendships. So you do kind of, you pick and choose your battles, you pick and choose the friendships sometimes. And sometimes there's somebody that maybe you didn't talk. There's a girlfriend that I have, love her dearly, and probably one of my closest friends today. But we went 2 years without talking, and there was zero animosity. I had actually, right before I went on my first trip, I had just been up at her house in LA, was driving back down to Orange County, and actually I got in like a hit and run. It was crazy. But that was the last time that I saw her up until like a year ago. So you might have phases with friendships too. You may be in different places in life. You might just both be really busy, and that's okay. But ultimately, I think you get more selective with who you're keeping around and keeping in your inner circle. I don't have those friends as much anymore where it was all about partying, or it was surface level, or friends where we just sat and just talked about problems nonstop. And I did used to do that. I would sit and overthink and I would circle the drain with things. And I just got to the point where I was like, this is completely taking away from my mental health. This isn't how I want to handle problems. And I want to put my energy towards much more positive shit. And especially when you have a business, like, that takes so much out of you. It's not worth it. So I would really look, who am I thinking of going on this trip with? Even if you are still in college and you're still just in the mode of just like having fun, do not put yourself in isolated environments with people you don't agree with their character, where you're constantly talking shit about them. And this isn't, I've had friendships where maybe, I love them and they've been a great friend. And then all of a sudden, I'm stepping out of character. Maybe they're stepping out of character and we're just not getting each other, or we're hurting each other unintentionally. But I never really questioned their character. And even if I did, I knew deep down that this was just a bump in the road. Those things are going to happen. but you gotta really know the people around you. I've also been around people that like maybe I wanted to be closer to because they were cool or whatever else, or there was something in me that like needed a little something from the friendship, but they weren't actually a good fucking friend to me. Do not surround yourself with people who you think are constantly talking shit about you, who are not going to stand up for you in a room, who start unnecessary drama, who, and honestly, like you got to sometimes distance yourself from people that just offload and always have problems because you start doing that same thing too. And those are the people that are going to cause drama on your trips. So evaluate who you're even going on this trip with. Think about if it's worth it or not. And that's kind of, I think, like the foundation for everything in life. Like keep it selective with who is in your inner circle. Then we'll kind of get into some tips. And before I go over these specific tips for like managing group dynamics and just like having a successful trip, I'm going to kind of reference. So there's 3 trips primarily. One of them was not my trip. It was a bachelorette trip I went on that was honestly like amazing. I feel like I hear so many horror stories from bachelorette trips. This one was absolutely perfect. And I'll kind of tell you like what I think made it perfect in a second here. The second one is a trip where right before I ended up moving to Texas, my sister had come out to visit, and then I planned this trip with some girlfriends. And I sometimes will like try to make plans with people, and because my life is so all over the place and my travel is, I don't have a set schedule. Sometimes it's very hard to commit to trips like that are completely extra. So I just slapped this trip together. My sister had just been out. My social battery was drained, and I went on a trip with some of my girlfriends, and like we went and stayed somewhere. The third trip I'm going to reference, I had actually planned for my girlfriends to come visit me when I lived in Texas. Last minute found out that I was moving to Vegas. So we switched tracks. They ended up coming to meet me in Vegas because I wouldn't have had furniture in Texas. So they all came out to Vegas. It was my first weekend in our apartment. So that whole week leading up, I'm like stressing to get decor, stressing to like get boxes unpacked. My boyfriend was working insane hours. His parents came out that same weekend. It was just so chaotic. Those are the trips I'm going to kind of reference throughout the episode. But before, again, I get into these tips, one thing. The trip I went on, the bachelorette trip, it went so well because we had structure, but no one was afraid to deviate from it. We didn't feel like we had to sit there, and not even like we, but more so like the people who were planning it and the bride. No one was sitting there like, oh, we have to go do this right now. We would deviate. If people were hungover, somebody was sick, or there was something else somebody wanted to try, or we just wanted to chill. And we ended up having one of like the best mornings where we just sat, we shared stories. I'm not around people from high school a lot because I obviously lived in different states. So it was so fun to get to sit there and like talk about, oh my gosh, so-and-so had a baby, or like, remember this from high school, because I don't get those moments very much. It was just like the most wholesome, pleasant trip you could truly ask for, especially as a bachelorette party. I probably, I mean, and I love my friends. I like that trip I cherish in like such a special way. And it wasn't even like my trip, but it just went so well. Now, to kind of get into some tips here. Number 1, you have to be able to communicate your needs and be honest with yourself about what those look like. You have to, if you know that you are somebody that needs a moment to recharge, you need your own space, don't share a room with 4 people. Make sure you have your own space. If you need to go stay somewhere else, go do that. Even if people talk shit, like hopefully they're your good friends, like they might talk a little shit or give you shit for it, but they're not going to sit there and like actually be mad at you for it. Do what you need to do. If there's work you need to get done, voice those things. If there's concerns that you have, things that make you like uncomfortable, and maybe it's, I really don't want to be left alone in the bars this weekend. Set that precedent before you're in the situation. Another thing, and this one can be really uncomfortable with the wrong people, communicate your budget. This is really something that I've never had to worry about with my girlfriends. I've never had to worry about what they might say. I've never felt like they would push me to, do something that was outside of what I was comfortable spending on an extra trip. And vice versa. Like I would never feel uncomfortable if one of my friends was like, you know what, I want to stick around this. What can we do to accommodate that? Can I, maybe I am willing to split a room with a couple people to cut that price. Whatever that's going to look like, don't be afraid to speak up. And hopefully your friends are the kind of friends that will help you find solutions to that. Can we eat in some nights? Or we're going to go get like a ton of alcohol from Costco and we'll have like a pool date. That's what I did with some of my girlfriends and I went to Palm Springs, and like we pretty much stayed at the Airbnb the entire time. We didn't go do extra stuff. We went and got a bunch of stuff from Costco. We got food, we got dinner stuff, alcohol, and we all just like hung out at the Airbnb the entire weekend. Another thing, communicate where you're at and be honest with yourself. If I was honest with myself about really kind of where I was at emotionally, or like took the time for myself to go in feeling a little bit more calm and clear-headed and not stressed and emotional from moves and having so much going on for, again, all of those trips. What are you wanting? Are you wanting a strict schedule? Are there certain things that you would like to do? Do you want to schedule stuff ahead of time? Do you want to just kind of have a chill weekend? Do you want to sit around an Airbnb? Be honest about those things up front so everybody kind of has an idea of where everyone's at, especially when you get a lot of strong personalities. So that's really kind of one thing that first thing I would recommend is communication, being honest with yourself, communicating with other people. What are kind of some of those boundaries or things that you'd like to set ahead of time? Next thing here, stay in separate rooms if you need to. Like, I don't think that that's a weird thing to do. And sometimes maybe you can't fully control it, but having a space where you can decompress and like maybe, and I would strongly encourage that you do not sit and talk shit about anyone on the trip to anybody else. I don't care how close you are to your friends. Don't create unnecessary tension. Go elsewhere. If you need to sit in your room and text someone, if you can call somebody in a way where no one's going to overhear you, vent to other people. Do not vent to people on the trip, because that is only going to add discomfort, maybe for the person you're venting to, maybe the person you're venting about kind of senses that. It's just not worth it, and it intensifies the problem, and that's like been proven. Like when you sit and you just like constantly vent about things, it intensifies your feelings towards them. So try to not fixate on it or talk to somebody that's not on the trip with you. But again, like if you want to stay in your own separate room, think about that, and if you're somebody that really needs space to recharge, maybe you don't have a huge budget for this trip and you're feeling stressed out in life and stuff, maybe it's just not the right time for you to go on the trip. And I think being okay with that and putting yourself first, and again, being able to communicate that with yourself. So that's number 2, stay in separate rooms if you need to. Number 3, booking things in advance. But one tip I would highly give is to have certain things scheduled and then have a list of ideas of things you might want to do. When I actually, this is a 4th trip, but I'd gone on a spring break trip to Cabo my junior year of college, not high school. And we, there was one thing that we really all wanted to make sure that we were able to go on like a sunset booze cruise. We booked that, we booked around it, we booked outfits for it. And that was something we needed to do ahead of time. But then we all kind of knew that like we wanted to go to Mango Deck. We wanted to have a day at the pool. Some people went to a party that was with some people that we had like gone to school with, like their parents had a house out in Cabo. We wanted to go to the Arches. We wanted to do Sea-Doos. We wanted to have like a nice dinner. So we kind of knew what we wanted to do. So when we got there, we had the bones of our trip laid out, a couple things planned. But then when we sat around, we're like, okay, what are we going to do now? There was always something, because we kind of had an idea of what everybody was planning on or would like to do. Sometimes it's like the worst thing, and it takes like the fun away when you're sitting there like, shit, okay, what should we do now? And then it's like, okay, why are we bored on this trip that we're paying for, So have those things thought through so you're not sitting there having to research it all there and taking time out. And then I feel like sometimes when you have to research a bunch of stuff to do, it almost makes it like not as fun or more stressful, where let's say you're coming to Vegas and one person's like, I want to do something active. Maybe we could do pickleball. Maybe we could do top golf. Maybe we could do swingers, the putt-putt place. So you kind of have those in mind. People are like, you know what? I don't want to go off the strip. So let's think top golf or swingers on the strip. And you're like, okay, cool. So we have those 2 things if we want to do something active. Then if somebody's like, I really want to see a speakeasy. Okay, let's find some that are close. We're staying at Aria. There's the barbershop in Cosmo. There's the vault, whatever ones or like the ice lodge. Have a list of them so that when you get there, there's things to pick from. If you want to go to dinners, those are things I would probably plan in advance. What's a night that we want to dedicate to this dinner? When I just went to Mexico with my boyfriend. We were like, okay, we want to do one really nice dinner. So we looked, there was like the Four Seasons. We went and booked, I forget the name of the restaurant. It was so good. We just wanted really good seafood. So we went, booked that. That was like one thing that we knew we were going to do. have those things in place. And actually with this trip, there might be like hiccups where you have to book a certain amount of days in advance. Like if you're ever trying to make a reservation at Carbone at Aria on the Strip, it is so difficult. They only book 30 days out. So you can't book, like, if it's 31 days out from the day you want your reservation, you can't book it. I have our like instructor trainees coming out for in-person training. And on the first of all, like several days leading up, because I was like, I couldn't figure out exactly what was 30 days. So I was like, I don't want to miss it. I kept checking every morning. On the 30th day, I go to check, of course, like late afternoon, and there was only a 9:45 reservation, and like we needed something around 7:30. So those kinds of things you may want to research and schedule ahead of time so that you're not fumbling while you're there, and then have a little idea of other things you might want to do so you're not researching it all. But don't feel like you are beholden to this itinerary on the trip. That is going to, if you do that, you're going to have certain expectations. And I have a family member that does this, and totally means well by it because she wants to make sure that we have things to do. But when you do that, you have these expectations of how it's going to go. And if people aren't in the mood for it, or there's something else that comes up, sometimes it is hard to kind of pivot because you've already envisioned something. So just be willing to be flexible. And I think with that too, if you have a big group of people, don't be afraid to split up. Like if one person does want to go do Top Golf and somebody like me can't hit a fucking ball to save my life, like maybe I don't want to go do Top Golf, but maybe I'm down to go sit and drink there. Just communicate the expectations. And that's one thing, when my friends came out here, it was kind of difficult because when you come to Vegas, you're envisioning Vegas, right? The Strip. For me, that just wasn't the kind of weekend I wanted. And I actually tried to communicate that up front. And one of the girls was like, oh, come on, like it'll be fine. Like just don't stress about it. And I was like, I'm not stressing. I'm just communicating that if we go to a day party or a pool party, I don't want to go out that night. That's not like, I don't want to go to a club until 4 a.m. If you guys want to do that though, totally down. You guys can separate and go do that. That's not for me. And I just want to be honest so that there's no disappointment and you know where I'm at, especially since I'm housing you guys. But again, if you want to, cool. I'll drive you. No hard feelings. Come in at 5 a.m. if you want to. Totally fine. I think setting those boundaries ahead of time, and again, just being willing, if people want to do different things, let them go do different things. Again, like I know I'm using Vegas, but like if somebody likes a pool party outside and someone else is like, that's just too warm for me, it's not my vibe, maybe they're going to go sit at the resort pool and tan and chill, and then they want to go out at nighttime. There's different things you can do. You just have to be willing to be flexible. And again, I think that comes a lot from making sure you're on the trip with the right people. So book stuff if you can, and look up like, how are you going to get around here in Vegas? Like we have taxis, there's Ubers, there's Lyft, there's the little monorail thing on the Strip on either side. Knowing those things ahead of time really does kind of help, which is how the group is going to move. Are you going to get a rental car? Know those things. Where are you going to park? Just that way, when you do all of that research, when you get there, you can just go have more fun. And same thing applies for safety, which we'll talk about in a little bit. Just do your research. Last thing here, if tensions are high, how can you communicate on the trip if you're upset successfully so you're not bringing down the mood or like lowering the vibes? I think remembering, again, and I can't stress this enough, you have to go on trips with the right people. Signing yourself up for a trip of people that make you feel anxious, you feel are constantly talking shit about you, who like to just kind of run the entire trip and aren't going to let you give input, it's not going to be helpful, especially if you're somebody like me that like, I need my alone time. I'm not somebody that like I can like force myself to rally for something that I want to do, but if everybody's trying to go to like a club or something and I'm like, I really don't want to, like I went to the pool party all day, it's not totally my vibe. I don't want to feel pushed or like I'm going to be in trouble or like people are going to talk shit about me for not going, if I just want to hang back and like go to bed and wake up early and go grab everybody Starbucks. Like, and there might be a night that maybe I do want to go out and be out till 7 a.m. Like you just never know. But I think you have to be on the trip with the right people that know your heart, that aren't going to get mad at you. Like on the trips, I was very stressed. Like not the bachelorette trip, but the 2 trips with my girlfriends. And I had a lot going on the trip where people came out to Vegas. Like, I did have, like, a little bit of, like, and I'm really not, like, an emotional drinker ever, but, like, I did have a little breakdown. But, like, I knew that for the most part, like, those were girls that know my heart, that weren't gonna judge me for it. They've had their own moments too, and it wasn't gonna, like, come back to haunt me or anything like that. So, and I think it's just really important to, again, go with the right people. And when you do that, the communication becomes a lot easier. Always, always pull them aside. Again, if you need to go vent outside of the trip, do that. Pull that person aside. I'm no therapist. This is just how I would do it and what I've learned from my experience. Pull that person aside separate, and don't make it like heavy, like you're so pissed off at them. And I think a big thing with that is making sure that you're not letting shit compound, because, and I'm sure you've done this, I've done this, you get mad at somebody for X, then they go do Y. And it doesn't matter how the fuck they did it, but because you're already pissed off about X, Y is now really pissing you off. And you have this other layer of intention there that maybe isn't even there. Then when those things keep compounding, you're just building that anger. And again, like, the more you go vent about it, it's intensifying those feelings. So you need to just communicate the first time. Then you can do it in a much more calm manner. Maybe you say, hey, let's get ready early and, like, go grab a drink. Or do you want to, like, go on a quick walk? Maybe it's in the morning. Whatever it is, make sure you pull that person aside. Do not make it everybody else's problem, because you don't need people feeling like they have to choose sides or giving their input. It's between the two of you. Personally, when I go to approach somebody, I always try to, and obviously I'm not a perfect person, I really do try with my friends to be like, hey, I may have interpreted this wrong, but, like, this read like this, and it, like, it hurt, or it made me feel like this. Like, what is your take on what happened here? And open up the floor for them to explain themselves, because, again, so much of what you could be upset about is the way you perceive what they said. And it could be totally different from what they mean. And hopefully this is a friend that wouldn't be coming at you with sideways intention. So I would always approach it like that. Open up the floor for discussion. Don't attack them, and add your little niceties. Like, I love you, and, like, I want to have fun on this trip. There was something that I may have totally read this wrong, but you did X and it made me feel this. And, like, I just wanted to kind of talk about that and get your perspective. And please know that even if it is uncomfortable to pull this person aside sober, I promise you, it is so much better than the discomfort you may feel waking up the next morning if you let this fester and then you blow on them when you're drunk and you wake up with anxiety. Dealing with the problem sober is so much less uncomfortable than having to deal with anxiety after exploding on somebody. I think we've all been in those moments. I'm sure you have something that you can maybe relate to. It's not worth it. Don't let things build up. Go address it. Try to do it as sober as possible. Do it separate. And then let the issue lie. Don't get addicted to the chaos. And again, hopefully this is not a friend where they're then going to go tell everybody that you confronted them, and they're going to say one thing to you and then go do another thing to other people. It's just not worth it. And on some of the trips that I've had, there's been blatant miscommunications that were like, whoa, that was really kind of fucked up. Like, you completely just communicated something that happened, not even necessarily with me, maybe even with other people, but you see, like, and you're, like, trying to make drama. And some people will try to bond by creating problems. And I think those are the people to distance yourself from. Don't have to cut them off cold turkey, but add a little distance there. So again, anytime there's just heightened emotion, pull that person aside, address the issue one-on-one. Do not make it a group problem, and try to do something lighthearted on the trip. Like, play a game, a drinking game. Not if you're mad at them, pull them aside first. But, like, just maybe don't go do, what's the game called? It's like girls' night out, or like for the girls or something. And you, like, pick the card, and it's like most likely person to XYZ. Because if there's any kind of tension somebody else could feel or that you're feeling, those are the things where, again, they did something that upset you, and then they give you the card that's most likely to, or they give somebody else a card that's, like, most likely to be a CEO, and you're like, what the fuck? And you're taking it personal. Don't put yourself in that position. Do something lighthearted, pull that person aside, and address it head on. and don't attack them. These should be people that you love, that you can talk to. And I've had friends before where I didn't feel like I could approach them. And I think that that's a pretty good indicator that maybe that's not somebody for your inner circle. Maybe it's somebody you have fun with, but it's just not somebody you're going to get super close with, because I don't like feeling anxious about bringing things up, or where people will take and twist things and flip it back on you or make you feel crazy, because the reality is you can still be hurt by something even if they didn't mean it. And I think it's okay to have like a good conversation, but they have to be approachable. So make sure that you kind of think about that too. Girls' trips are supposed to be fun. They're supposed to be something extra that you do. You are paying for it. And I just don't think that it needs to be something that has so much stress and anxiety around. And it just comes from making sure you have the right people, making sure you communicate. Don't feel like you have to stick to this strict schedule or anything. Have some ideas of what you want to do. Make your reservations early. Create space if you need to. Take your alone time. Don't be afraid to communicate that. And appropriately address problems as an adult. It doesn't need to get chaotic. And again, I just can't stress enough that bachelorette party I went on was so flawless because no one felt like they were beholden to this crazy itinerary. Again, the best morning we had was the morning that everybody was hungover. There was, I don't even remember, I think we were supposed to go to the beach or something. And maybe it was the weather was a little off too. And that's the other thing. You could have weather things that come up. Be flexible and just enjoy your friends' company. It's not about the fucking Instagram pictures or the stories or the TikToks or the actual things you're doing so you can show everybody else you're doing it. It's about having fun with your friends, and that comes from having the right group. So be selective, have fun, make the most of it, and try to set as many boundaries in place and communicate stuff so that it doesn't have to be an issue on the trip. Now, last thing here, I do want to get into some safety tips. So, as I always encourage, and we all have different tips that we hear, and I'm sure a lot of them are fairly similar. First and foremost, your risk of being randomly trafficked or kidnapped are slim. Just remember that. Another thing, the more, like I mentioned before with the itinerary stuff, the more you research, the more you can just enjoy your trip. The more you research your safety and have certain things in place, the more you can enjoy your trip. How are you going to handle transportation? Are there Lyft and Uber? Is it public transportation? Are you going to New York? Are you going to be taking taxis? What does that look like? Are you going to Cabo where you're going to need to book a shuttle? Do those things ahead of time so when you're in positions where maybe you are a little bit more vulnerable, you feel like you've already done the research so you can enjoy yourself and you already have a plan in place. Are you going to get the rental car? Next thing, try to be close to things. You don't want to have to be 45 minutes, even if it's a cheaper Airbnb, because you're going to have to be taking transportation there. Then there's drinking that's added to it. Try to be in close with everything. And if something happens or somebody, needs to go do something one-on-one or someone wants to leave, it's not like as stressful of a situation. So I would try to kind of like plan out exactly where you're going to stay somewhere safe. I am very hesitant to book. I mean, in group settings, it's a little different. But if you're like in a small group of girls or like somewhere that maybe doesn't feel the safest, I would be a little hesitant with Airbnbs and like VRBOs. There are just so many gaps in safety. You don't always know where the cameras could be, who has access to the house. So just be mindful of those things. Personally, I do prefer, unless it is again like a big group, I do prefer to stay in some kind of hotel. Next thing, know your surroundings. Know what the norms are so you can stay a step ahead. How are you going to blend in? Again, if you're going to New York, do you know how to hail a taxi? Do you know what that process looks like? Try to just as best you can make sure you present with as much confidence as possible in certain situations. Are there different things that you can use to help your group stay safe? Like maybe there's a friend that you trust a little bit more, you want to have a code word with, or maybe everybody in the group has a code word and you trust that like if I'm uncomfortable, somebody will leave with me. Or if I'm uncomfortable and need help, you're going to actually come to my aid. There's this app called the Third Eye app, and it was actually college students that created it. And basically it's kind of like like a group FaceTime, but it's like on an actual platform. So if I was going on this girls trip, I can create what they call a squad. Let's say I'm walking back from the bar, we're like super close and I really wanted to stay and everybody was super tired. We made the mutual agreement. Hopefully you weren't in this situation. Even if you were with one other person, you can go live within that squad. So I'm live streaming. Please don't be like actively engaging on your phone, but you're live streaming that walk and they actually have dual camera where it's taking a video of you and we're like in front of you. So that way, it's all recording to to the platform. And then if you have an emergency, you can alert them. It alerts emergency services. If you look at your destination and you veer off of the destination, it'll actually alert your friends and it'll like show what route you did take. So, getting something like that in place, having drink testing strips, maybe like it could even be almost like kind of like a little gag gift you get everybody. Like, hey, we're going to just test our drinks, and you never know, especially if you're going somewhere like Miami, Nashville, places where there is a lot of partying, a lot of drinking. You just never know. Just have them on hand. It's a quick little way to try to ensure safety. And please don't leave your drinks with drunk friends. I promise you, especially when they're drinking, their priority is happening what's right in front of them. Second priority is their own drink they're sipping on. Their last priority is watching your drink. Drink spiking is very quick, very easy. Some literally come as clear liquids. You just dump in a drink really quick. Very hard to tell. Most are colorless, odorless, tasteless. Difficult to tell if something's gone wrong. You don't, first of all, just in general, want anybody ever having to go through that. And second of all, especially on a trip where you're not somewhere you're super comfortable with. So please, please, please get some of those things in place. Get drink covers. Again, you can make these like fun little gags for everybody and like have fun with it. But just have that stuff in place and make sure you're sharing your locations. Again, you can do that on the Third Eye app. I'll link the Think Twice drink testing strips. Be careful. I found Think Twice and I reached out to them and wanted to partner with them because like they were so reputable and there's so many drink testing things out there that are not very reputable. Please make sure you get ones that are well tested and that you've researched the shit out of. So last thing here, if your friend, if there's something like a situation they're in that you need to intervene in, number one, just rule of thumb. If you're going to put your own safety at risk, please don't physically interfere. Monitor what's happening, alert somebody, and document it. Now, there are, like, you may have heard of like the 5 Ds for bystander intervention. You can adhere to those. You can be direct with the person, like, hey, that's not cool. You can try to distract them. Maybe you have excuses on why you would need to remove your friend from a certain situation if they're like maybe intoxicated and not realizing it's an unsafe situation. Maybe you just feel uncomfortable. You could knock over a drink and try to distract whatever confrontation is happening. There's a lot of different ways that you can respond. I think, you could go get the bouncer, go get a person of authority, another friend to help, but just don't put yourself in immediate danger. They literally, like, I know everybody says this, but the whole like airplane mask thing, like you put yours on first and then help your child or somebody sitting around you. Same kind of thing. And if you're documenting it, do it only if it's safe to do so. So just trust your gut, look at the situation. I would try to have, again, code words with your friends, make it something fun, make it funny, and like just excuses to just dismiss somebody or yourself from situations. Hey, I really have to go to the bathroom, or so-and-so is getting sick, or shit, I don't know, the Airbnb got broken into, like whatever it's going to be that could remove somebody from a situation. Have those excuses thought through ahead of time. We always say make sure they're non-negotiable emergencies. Things like, non-negotiable as in like you can't change them. Like if I just said, oh, I'm tired, I don't want to go, somebody would be like, okay, well, here's a Red Bull, right? Make sure it's not negotiable and make sure it's an emergency. It's not something where, I have to be up early tomorrow or I have whatever, a work call tomorrow morning. It's something that like, no, we need to leave the situation now because it's pressing. Like I'm about to get sick, so and so is getting sick, something of that sort. Our Uber's here. So if there is a situation, you can easily remove your friend from it. I know those things are not fun or sexy to talk about, but the more you understand those things, the more you know your environment, know different norms, think about transportation, plan for all this stuff, then you can, again, go and have fun. Obviously, you're not just going to like let yourself go, like still be alert, present, notice red flags, But when you have those habits and systems in place, it just allows you to go have a good time. So that's kind of the wrap up here on trips. Again, if you are somebody where you're like, I don't really go on trips, like now I kind of feel like I should, or I feel anxious, I see it all on social media, am I missing out on my 20s? Don't stress about it. I didn't do a ton of girl group trips in my 20s. If I go on vacations, a lot of time it is with family. So it's okay. You have lots of time later. You might have different priorities. It may not be the right setting for you. Don't stress yourself out. So, and you can even just do like a one-on-one trip. You can go with a friend and do a staycation. So don't stress too much. And if you are going on a trip, I hope you have fun. Communicate. Don't don't feel like you have to go be with people that you don't enjoy, or that, like, again, you get that anxiety with. Look at the way you feel with people after you walk away from them. It is not worthy. You will find the friends you don't walk away from like, fuck, what are they saying about me? Or how are they judging me? That you just feel comfortable with, and wait for those friends, because the other ones are not worth it. They're not true friends. And you're going to always feel like you're having to play a role to get their approval. So that's my final piece. Have fun on your trips. Again, if you guys want the links for the Third Eye app or Think Twice during testing strips, they'll be below in the show notes. If you guys have any ideas, questions, comments, concerns, please submit them. Again, linked in the show notes. We do, whether it's pop culture stuff, questions you have, we want to make sure you feel included. If you want to come on, if you're ever in Vegas and want to do an in-person episode, please reach out. And as always, please rate, review, subscribe, share the episodes. We do have them on YouTube, so you can subscribe to our channel and watch them as well. Thank you guys, and I'll chat with you next week.